Okay, let's start. Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on youth and AI. IEEE Women in Engineering Lahore section has once again taken a beautiful step by organizing this wonderful event. My name is Mohammad Arsalan Shahid, and I'm lecturer at the Department of Electrical Engineering, the University of Lahore. And I'm also serving as the branch counselor of IEEE Youth Student Branch and also in IEEE Women in Engineering Lahore section. I welcome Mr. Adnan Yusuf Kazi, who is the speaker of today's session. Mr. Adnan has around 16 years of professional experience working with top multinational and Fortune 500 companies, including Teradata Corporation, IBM, NCR Corporation, and TRG International, and is currently leading Analytics Private Limited, globally 10x AI, a leading artificial intelligence, data sciences, and big data services company at its global chief operating officer. Previously, he was leading Teradata's business in Lahore. He has also worked with IBM as a brand sale manager for business analytics solutions, responsible for leading the IBM business analytics brand in Pakistan, Afghanistan, comprising enterprise risk management, predictive analytics, business intelligence, and financial performance management solutions. Being IBM, Oracle, and Teradata certified in sales and consulting, Mr. Adnan has used his expertise to add value to several organizations in telecommunication, manufacturing, government, and other industries as well. He helps his customers from across the industries to achieve technology-led business outcomes by making informed decisions through big data analytics. He translates the business problems into feasible consulting and technology solutions to help customers to make sense of their data. He frequently gets invited as guest speaker, lecturer, or panelist by top educational institutions and business forums as well. He holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in Computer Sciences and several specializations in the field of business analytics and sales. He has delivered and led complex and high-impact data analytics projects in Pakistan, Bangladesh, and United Kingdom. Mr. Adnan, thank you so much. Now the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Aslan. Really appreciate and looking forward to today's session. So basically, before I start, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Before I start, I want to just set the stage. My understanding is that IEEE has invited a lot of people from the universities, including professors, students, people who are pursuing their PhD, research papers, etc. And then there are some people from the industries as well. So I'll keep the talk focused on how AI can revolutionize and is already sort of revolutionizing the world that we are living in. What are the high-level use cases that AI has really added value in? What students and professors need to ensure in terms of ensuring that the skills that are being taught at the universities in the master's, MPhil, and PhD courses are really relevant to what the industry is looking for in terms of the talent that we require in the market. And as just one of the industry leaders, I would like to share my thoughts on how we can improve upon the kind of curriculum that we're designing for AI. So that's the pretty much a quick summary to what I'll be just talking about today, inshallah, in my call. So starting off with very basics, because I know there are a lot of people on the call who might be very well versed with what AI is, very hands-on, very capable. And I know some of the people on the call might be really beginners and would only know AI as a buzzword and nothing more. So it's always good to start with very basics, and then we can obviously get as technical as possible. That's not an issue. But inshallah, we'll start off with some very basic stuff. So AI is everywhere. You travel to the airports, you travel the world, you'll see AI on the walls of the airports, you'll see professors talking about AI. Every single person is stressing upon the need of how artificial intelligence can really transform the world that human beings are living in. But what AI is really, what artificial intelligence is. So I would like to just share one thing before I share, in my view, what AI is. That it's not a buzzword anymore. It used to be a hype, like cloud was a hype once, like other blockchain was a hype once. AI used to be a hype at one point in time, but now I can share you with in all confidence that Alhamdulillah, AI is not a buzzword anymore. AI is a very real thing. AI is what do you call is justified. It's a hype that is now justified and realized. So basically, human beings have been blessed by God with a lot of amazing capabilities. For instance, we can listen to people, we can listen to different sounds, we can listen to people talking, and then we can comprehend what they're saying. We can correlate what they're saying with our previous experiences that are stored in our brain. We also have the capability and ability to actually talk. So we listen and then we respond and then we talk, right? We have the ability to interpret things. We can understand multiple languages. We can assess things. We can analyze. We can convert data. We can store data in our brains. We can convert that data into information, and then we can derive information, insights from those information sets. So, and then more importantly, we can see. And when we see, we decipher information, we comprehend information. Now, imagine if all these capabilities are instilled into machines, like if you are able to make machines see the real world scenarios, if you're able to make the machines talk, if you're able to make the machines listen to you, store the data, comprehend the data, assess things around, make important decisions, make tough decisions, to be honest, we can safely say that Alhamdulillah, AI, that machines are now becoming artificially intelligent. So that's the whole concept of AI is. Like in a nutshell, if you are able to instill the qualities of human beings, which I just talked about a few minutes ago, into the machines, and machines become intelligent, you can safely claim that the machines are becoming artificially intelligent. So that's what the concept of AI is. Now, if you look at us as human beings, there are a lot of areas that we really interact with on daily basis. Some of them maybe, and I'll just talk about some of them, like health is one of them. Health, medicine, that is also part of health. Transportation, human beings, it's a very basic necessity of human beings to use cars and vehicles, airplanes, etc., and to get transported from one place to the other, commute on daily basis between their office, home, etc., and to different places all across the world. Education is another aspect as well, very important facet of our lives. Entertainment, we go to cinemas, we watch movies, we develop movies, we produce stuff that is entertaining. That's all again very important for us. Safety, human safety, public safety is very, very important. Communication, now you can imagine how easy it has become for all of us, that we now literally we go to the US and we are really connected to our kids, we are connected to our wives, family, parents. So easy to communicate with people even while we are traveling, and really far away, thousands of miles away. So you can imagine that how different facets of human beings are really driving our capacity to live a good life in this planet. The problem is that before AI was really realized, before we really saw the value of AI, and when it was just a hype or another buzzword, people were talking about it, but there was no value that was being seen. But in the last decade, I must say, especially in the West and also now in Asian countries as well, we have seen the real life use cases of AI being seen, and that is amazing. That is an amazing. I can see one of the comments from someone that yes, IoT and AI. I'll talk about IoT. I have a case study that I will be presenting shortly about IoT. But thank you for the comment. Yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about some of the. I'll just share one more basic of AI, and then we move to the use cases and some case studies. A very basic concept of AI is that initially what happened was that people were developing predictive models even before AI was there, even before machine learning was there. But the problem was that people were actually taking rule-based models, like judgment-based models, rule-based models, and they were applying some mathematics on top of some data, and that model actually defined what would be the possible outcome of the model would be. And that's what the traditional way of creating rule-based model was. But what machine learning did was, what AI did was, that they said you give the computers you give the computers the sample data, which we call training set, and you give them the outcome or the labeled data or the outcomes that you want to see, that you want to predict, right? And the computer would automatically will come up with the model. And then when the model is trained by the computer itself using algorithms and statistical and machine learning algorithms, then you show the new data to that model, and the model will start automatically giving you predictions, and you can improve upon those predictions by giving more data and letting the model learn through machine learning algorithms. So that's the difference. You don't need to train the model using rule-based mathematics like a plus b will always be c. What if a plus b is not c 2 months down the road, as the data trend is changing and the patterns are changing in the data? But machine learning that I just talked about will ensure automatically through the set of algorithms and through the power of AI that it will learn on its own, and will ensure that if in future a plus b becomes d instead of c, it will ensure that it learns from the data and identify the patterns accordingly and automatically. So you don't have to rewrite the rules which get outdated as the patterns changes. So that's the basic concept of AI. Anyways, coming into the 6 facets that I talked about. So let's start off with health. Health is extremely important. As you know, I'm the global chief operating officer of 10x and analytics. 10x is working extensively in AI, and alhamdulillah, one of the areas that we're trying to transform through the power of AI is actually health sector. So we've signed up with one of the significant players in Asia that is working in the cancer detection. It's a big hospital. They're working in oncology and cancer, and we partnered up with them to actually see if AI can really help in early detection of breast cancer using the mammography imagery. Now, it was an important challenge, obviously, and many people talked about it. But when you get to the core of it, you'll see a lot of important things that people don't know about. So they're very tricky things that you might need to find out. You would be surprised to know that 10 to 15% of the cases, doctors tend to miss the cancer and malignant stuff in the mammograms because they're busy, they've got a lot to do. Pixel level details can be missed when they are looking at the mammograms. They're very minute details that can always be overlooked. So doctors really believe that 10 to 15% cases of the cancer are either misinterpreted or interpreted or missed from the detection perspective. So we sat with them and we say, let's do a combined R&D. And as we speak right now, we are developing computer vision algorithms. Computer vision is a field of AI which really focuses on deriving the insights from the images and videos through the power of models. I think the research and development engagement is going really well. We are moving ahead. We've seen some progress, which is really promising. And probably 3 months down the road, we will be in a position, inshallah, when we'll have a good computer vision models that through which we'll be able to possibly detect the cancer early in the cycle and help improve the accuracy for the doctors. So it might become the second opinion for the doctors, even if it's not the first opinion. So that's amazing. Imagine this happens, and imagine that a mammogram at which the doctor is just looking at on the screen, automatically predictive cancer score pops up on the screen through the power of AI, through machine learning models, computer vision models, and it says that the prediction of this patient, God forbid, having a cancer, is like 80%. So imagine how powerful the tool it could become for the teachers and professors in the hospital and the doctors who are really focusing on the patients. So that's one thing. You might have also, somebody talked about IoT earlier. You might also have heard about robotic arms, robotic surgical arms. They're all AI driven. So imagine a good doctor, a professional doctor sitting in the US, somewhere in California, doing a remote surgical operation of appendicitis, and the patient is literally in Lahore. So there's a video screen, there's an IoT devices. Through the power of internet, every single data point is being transformed, and the person is using computer vision models and machine learning models and video analytics, etc., and controlling the robotic surgical arm, right sitting from 7,000 miles away, 12,000 miles away, and doing the appendicitis operation for the patient. Imagine we more often than not, we keep hearing that the person needs to be transported to the US or to the Western countries in the Europe, the UK, etc., because through the air ambulance, because an important surgery needs to be performed. Imagine that maybe a decade down, important transplants are being done through the power of computer vision, AI, and robotic surgical arms. So imagine this is the kind of stuff that is being that we are seeing in the health industry. and imagine how this is being transforming things. So I'll just take a pause here. The health was just one facet that I wanted to talk about. I'll talk about public safety as well and some others as well. But I'll just take a pause here for a few moment. Just wanted to see if you have any questions. And if you don't have any questions, I'll just keep talking. So Aslan, just let me know if you see any questions or are any questions from your side, anybody else's side. Otherwise, we can
Uh,
continue.
yes, you may continue for now.
I can continue. Thank you very much. All right, great. So, interestingly, another facet of our lives is transportation. Now, one of the best examples that I have for you guys today in transportation is Tesla. We all know that Tesla. We know Elon Musk. We know Tesla. I'm sure Tesla is an AI-enabled, computer vision-enabled, self-driving car. I've seen Tesla. I've gotten a chance to sit in Tesla many times. I was 3 weeks ago, almost a month ago, alhamdulillah, I was in the US and I got a chance to sit in Tesla again. And I was just looking at Tesla, how it works, and it's really fascinating stuff. There are a lot of cameras across the board. There are a lot of sensors, lidar, and other sensors. They have GPS. They have computer vision sensors. They like literally every single thing. Every sensor that you may think of that we have on the earth right now, from the technological innovation perspective, you can be rest assured there's a great likelihood that it is present in Tesla as a car. Now, Tesla is 100% self-driving as well, but because of some issues, legalities, etc., they toned down their claim and they said, okay, assisted driving. You have a proper self-driving mode as well, but yeah, they're not really pushing it. So what happens is that when you're driving Tesla, it is calculating, mathematically calculating, and using machine learning models. It is literally calculating thousands of information and insights while you are driving. So interestingly, once I was sitting in Tesla with my cousin, and he was driving, and we were talking, and he tried to change the lane. And when he tried to move the steering around to go to the right lane, Tesla automatically took control of the steering wheel, put it back on the left, and moved the car back to the left lane. Literally took the control away from the driver, and machine learning models, computer vision models took the decision and pulled the back car to the original lane that we were actually in. Now, literally, as soon as it happened, I saw a car literally pass through us, drove through us in a rush, and I realized that that was Tesla's collision avoidance mechanism that came into play automatically. So now imagine what would have happened. I'm just thinking. I don't have any proof of that, but I was just, as somebody who loves I was just trying to figure out what possibly could have happened in those milliseconds. Alhamdulillah, we were safe, but I'm just thinking what would have happened. Imagine that there was a car that was driving towards us from the rightmost lane, and Tesla saw that car. One of the cameras saw that car. Tesla, through the sensors, tried calculating the speed of that car, Tesla knew the speed of our car. Tesla knew the lane in which that car was, the lane in which we were, and it ran all the mathematical algorithms and calculations and permutations to predict a collision that could happen. Now, if there was a 80% and more probability that there was a collision that could possibly happen, Tesla intelligently took control away from the driver, and the computer of the Tesla started running things around for the milliseconds. So that's how the machine learning and AI and this technological advancement is really adding value to the human lives. Imagine that. Imagine you're talking about saving lives, alhamdulillah. So that's amazing. That's really fascinating stuff. If you get a chance somehow, do visit Tesla's website online, and on the website, go to try to find out how Tesla's uh, 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 there's a video, short video, maybe of 1 minute or so, that shows you that what algorithms of Tesla, or what computer vision insights are being derived from the Tesla's algorithm. So you'll see a lot of things detected, object detection that shows you that signal is there, it's a red light, is it raining or not, are we in the right lane, do we have any particular signals on the lane, do we have any speed limitations. If you drive Tesla on the highway, interstate highway in the US, and the speed mark says that 60 miles per hour is the limit of the car speed for lightweight vehicles, and you are driving 80 miles per hour, Tesla will give you a warning. So Tesla will ensure that you get a warning, a serious warning, even before you get a ticket from the police officers. So imagine all these, because the computer vision algorithm of Tesla can detect the speed limit on the interstate highway, and then accordingly it can give you the insights by comparing, correlating with your current speed. So that's another example of Tesla. In airplanes, there's an autopilot mode. What is autopilot mode? Autopilot mode is all about letting the plane computer decide how to run the plane, how to fly the plane. So again, it has a lot of I would fairly assume lot of intelligent stuff going on in the computers, and a lot of machine learning and algorithms being run and trained. Interestingly, another facet of our lives is entertainment. Uh, I'll give a very interesting example. Uh, in one of the movies that Hollywood was about to release, it was Kate Mara's movie. I'm just forgetting the name. Uh, they wanted to see if machine learning or AI can create a trailer that is exciting and fascinating enough to pull the audience and to attract the audience and create the attraction, and to be and see if AI can generate or create a trailer of that movie that needed to go out as a teaser before the movie actually comes out. So what they did was they partnered up with a company, and then they gave the 3 hours of full movie or 2.5 hours of full movie that was captured in a CD to the AI algorithms, and AI actually came up with 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes. I don't exactly recall how much, but the AI actually came up with the trailer of that movie. And imagine what AI was doing. AI was listening to the dialogues, listening to the tones of the dialogues, converting the dialogues into transcripts, like to actual text, so voice to text, analyzing the textual information to identify the emotions, identify any languages, any things that are to be censored in the trailer, anything that will be specifically stressed upon in the trailers. So all those things, and the music, how music went up, how it came down, different kinds of moods in the movie, and etc. Because in trailer you would show all those moods, right? You will show the peak of the action, but you'll show the dull part of the movie as well. So all those things. So imagine how AI would have worked, and they came up with the trailer. So just imagine that without any possible, well, I would assume there was no possible human intervention, and a set of algorithms came up with the trailer of the movie. So again, it's an entertainment story. I'll just again pause here for 10 seconds or so to see if there are any questions, and I can move forward. All right. So, Arfin, I think you have a question around strong AI versus weak AI. I'll be very honest with you. I've not come across these terms yet, but uh, I can always talk to my chief data scientist. He can, if it's a pure technical stuff, he can always respond to you. But my session is purely focused on how AI is transforming the world that we are living in, and what AI is. But if you want, I can get you in touch with our chief data scientist for that. I hope that helps. And I think there's a question from Aruj Zaman. Hey, I am from Germany. Currently, I'm working in cybersecurity, but now I want to transform my job completely into AI, pure AI stuff. What do you suggest me in this matter? Yeah, so Aruj, first of all, although I kept a session at the end of, I kept a few minutes for specifically answers such questions, but I'll quickly, briefly say something, and then I'll share some details at the end of the session. Yeah, so AI to me is, as if you want to be a data scientist, right? If you want to get into AI, you want to become a data scientist, right? And data scientist is a combination of three major skills to me. One is the business understanding, right? And I'll let you know why I'm saying that. The second is statistical competence, like competence in stats as a field, and mathematics. So combination of mathematics and stats. And the last is programming. So how good of a programmer you are. Like you have to work in Python, you would have to work on MATLAB and other applications, and some proprietary stuff from IBM Watson, SPSS, Oracle, etc. Microsoft Excel, Azure as well. But it's a combination of business understanding, statistical and mathematical abilities, and programming. If any one of this is missing, I wouldn't call a person a good data scientist. If the business understanding is missing, you are a machine learning engineer, you're not a data scientist. A machine learning engineer is one who knows which algorithms could be used for this, what is a linear regression used for, what could be a decision tree possibly used for. So you are just an engineer, a software engineer who knows what kind of data needs what kind of algorithm. But if you don't know the business, you're not a data scientist, to be honest. So if you want to move your career from cybersecurity, from AI, and become a data scientist in the true sense, you need three skills, which I just talked about. So I hope that answers your question. And if you want to start with something, start with statistics. Start with understanding how these industries work. Start with understanding how a pharmaceutical works, how a bank works, how a telecommunication service provider works. And that should be really helpful. Great if I was able to answer your question. Are there any job threats due to AI, Bilal? Excellent question. So, Bilal, I think one thing that we need to understand is that from business perspective and the use case that I'm presenting, AI is no more an artificial intelligence. It would be more appropriate to call it as an augmented intelligence. So it is augmenting the capabilities of the human beings. It is not creating a threat to human beings. So in the example that I gave about early detection of breast cancer through the mammograms, we are not replacing doctors. We're just augmenting the capability of the doctors. So doctors will still be at the core of diagnosis and early detection, but AI will only help their abilities and augment their abilities. So I don't think so. It's a threat. It might be a threat to data entry operators or the people who are not really adding value to their jobs. But inshallah ta'ala wal aziz, I don't see it as a big threat to the people from the job perspective, at least at this point in time. On, all right, so AI has evolved throughout the years, and we have its perfect implementation in the form of humanoid robots. Sophia, yeah, definitely. There are a lot of robots being developed. I'll just give you a very interesting example. There's a scientist by the name Kaku. He was once referring to self-replicating robots. That could be a challenge as well. That could be a blessing as well. So if you want to create thousands of cars automatically, uh, you can use the concept of self-replicating robots, so you can scale up and create more robots. They can self-replicate, but it could be a threat as well. If the robots start replicating themselves, they can try to control things around as well, which could be a very tricky situation as well. So God forbid, inshallah, that may not happen, inshallah, but it could be a tricky stuff as well. So that's I hope that answers that. Yeah, your comment is valid. That with the evolution of AI, robotic engineering is really going to the next level. All right, so great questions. Thank you very much. I'll just continue. Public safety. Public safety is amazing. So imagine you see a lot of cameras in different countries. London has a lot of cameras, hundreds of thousands of cameras, maybe. Lahore now has a lot of cameras under the initiative of Punjab Safe City Authority. Now imagine that if the camera is AI enabled, it has the ability to recognize faces, recognize persons, identify people, because facial recognition algorithms can augment the capabilities of the camera feeds and cameras to help them identify automatically who the person is, or if the camera has seen that person before, or if you have the criminal records from the police station and you have the pictures of the criminals, cameras now can automatically, through the power of FR, facial recognition, can really help identify the people as they're walking on the streets. So that's an amazing thing from public safety perspective. Imagine that criminals who are just wandering on the streets, if they get timely identified through the power of AI enabled cameras, and automatically the nearest police station is informed, and they go and capture that person. Imagine how important that could become from public safety perspective. So that's one element from public safety perspective. So that is another thing as well. If somebody is not familiar with facial recognition, try to visit Microsoft facial recognition API is available online. They have a demonstration as well. It's a very exciting demonstration. I used to use it a lot. I'm not sure if it's active right now, but I think it would be. It's exciting stuff. So you give to a picture of yours, and you can give your side posture, you can give your front posture, and it will automatically correlate the two pictures and tell you that what is the likelihood of these two pictures, these two faces, belonging to the same person. And imagine, if you have a beard, if you don't have a beard in one of the pictures and then you have a grown beard, if you have vision glasses, if you have sunglasses on, even in that case, the AI algorithms and facial recognition algorithms can identify that it's the same person, because I'm assuming they have a lot of features. Like, I read somewhere there were 56 facial features that they were trying to assess upon. So difference between the distance between the eyebrows, the steepness of the nose, difference between your eyes, the distance between your nose and the lips and your cheeks, and if you have a beard or not, you're smiling or not, wrinkles on your forehead, your hair size, etc., etc. If you have the vision glasses on or not, and etc. So all these things, and after all those correlations, they come up with the probability of two faces belonging to the same person or not. So that's amazing and very exciting stuff. Um, so that's another thing. I will now quickly move on to some very exciting stuff in the sports industry as well. So 10x, our company, is working with a US-based organization by the name Arcos Golf. So it's a sports technology company. They are focused on providing the game improvement insights to the golfers through the power of AI. So what happens is that they have developed IoT sensors. They actually go on the back of your golf clubs, and once the golfer is on the golf course and starts playing the game, the rounds, it has the sensors and everything, and it automatically starts collecting the data through the sensors and through some external data sets as well. And then it gives you the real-time insights as you play the golf to help you improve the golf game. It has weather data like precipitation, wind speed, wind direction. It has census data which tells you where the drive was taken from, which driver was used, which club was used, which course were you on, which location of the course were you on, and all those things. And based on that, and based on thousands of rounds, millions of rounds that people have played in different areas, different courses, they try to do some correlations and permutations, and there are 40 odd algorithms that predict and give you insights and classify a game and give you insights in order to help the golfers improve the game. So that's an example from the sports technology industry as well. There are other examples as well. There are a lot of other examples as well. Microbial assessment is one area. Uh, Identification of bacteria, parasites, etc., through the microscopic imagery. Again, computer vision models are being used to help identify the threats of epidemics and pandemics, when they are correlated with the farm operations data of the poultry farms and other farms as well. So that's again an area where machine learning and AI can really add value, a lot of value. Agriculture is an amazing area. We know that let alone even in Pakistan, the net increase of population on yearly basis is somewhere close to 6 million people. I'm talking about the net increase. But unfortunately, the crop yield has not increased at the same level. So it's a food security threat. It's a poverty issue for the farmers. Farmers' profitability is being badly hurt. So all those things can be tackled in one way or the other through the innovative technologies like drones, like satellite imagery, AI, and we have recently launched an initiative by the name AgriLift. AgriLift is all focused on using drones and using intelligent IoT devices, and then running machine learning models and computer vision models on satellite imagery, drones imagery, and other stuff as well to help identify how we can really improve the crop yield, which can in turn, inshallah ta'ala wal aziz, result in the farmers' profitability as well as help in the food security, from the food security mitigation standpoint as well. So that's another. So literally in the last 35, 36 minutes, I've tried briefly touching upon different facets of our lives as human beings and how different kinds of areas are being touched upon, improved upon through the power of artificial intelligence. So I think my talk is for around 45 minutes. Since we only left with 9 minutes or so, I would share a couple of thoughts on uh, as an advice to the youth, and then I can open the house for questions again. So, my advice to the youth and the people who really want to embark upon their careers as data scientists and want to explore AI as a field, uh, let alone whatever uh, state of the education they are in, be it bachelor's, be it MPhil, masters, or PhD. As a matter of fact, I think I've talked about three skills that are mandatory: business understanding. I'll just reiterate them: business understanding, your deep understanding of statistics and mathematics, and last but not the least, your ability to program things as a software engineer, like use programming languages like Python, for instance, and to code things around. I think coding is the easiest part. Coding is the part because throughout your courses in your bachelor's, even what you're doing in your universities is you're learning to code, be it C++, be it Java, .NET, etc. All you're doing is learning to code. But one thing that unfortunately we're not really taught in our universities, I'm sorry, I'm generalizing. I shouldn't have done that, but again, to a major extent, I would say we're not in the universities, with few exceptions, obviously, is the business knowledge and business understanding. We're not deep when it comes to understanding how organizations are run. What are the problems of organizations? If a telecommunication sector tells you that my biggest problem is cross sell, upsell, or churn prediction, how would you predict if you don't know how churn works? If you don't know how a telco subscriber, what are the problems of a telco subscriber? What are the problems of a telecommunication industry? If you don't know the business, how would you really translate those business problems into a machine learning or AI driven solution? So that's imperative to understand. And when I say business understanding, talk to people who are in the business, talk to people who are in pharmaceutical, talk to people who are in telecommunication or uh, agriculture business or hospitals, health. Talk to them, try to understand what does their job look like on day-to-day basis, what are their biggest problems, and try to ponder upon, think upon, in how engineering, a field of technology, can really transform their lives and solve the problems that they're facing on day-to-day basis. Last but not the least, statistical and mathematical capabilities and your grip on the subjects, that's imperative. If you don't know what a regression is, if you don't know how complex equations work, if you don't know how decision tree works, what probabilistic analysis is, how would you really be able to find out the right solution lying in statistical algorithms for the right business problem? So it is a Venn diagram, and imagine the Venn diagram has three circles, and they all join in between at one point, and that point is the combination of these three things that I've talked about: business understanding, grip on stats and math, and your ability to program things using a programming language. So imagine that Venn diagram that I've talked about. So that's how you become a data scientist. If you don't do that, you can at most become a machine learning engineer, but unfortunately not a data scientist, with obviously a few exceptions. So with that, Aslan, I think I'm pretty much done with the messaging that I wanted to give. I would strongly, firmly encourage the youth to take machine learning courses, try to find out how you can help the world, and keep shining. Inshallah, you will one day become a data scientist.
That's wonderful. It was a wonderful session, and I think we can take the questions now by displaying on the screen, as you can see.
Sorry, Aslan, I've just lost you.
Uh, okay, am I audible now?
Sorry, Aslan, I lost you for a moment. Are you back?
Yes. Can you listen to me?
I am sorry. I'm not able to hear you, Aslan, if you're saying something. Aslan, can you hear me?
Yes. Just a second. Can
Can you listen to me now?
Yeah, I can listen to you. Yeah. Aslan, I can very well listen to you.
okay, I think there was a problem in the other device. Okay, so we have the question on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, so Aksar, thank you for posing this question. Yes, AI can be dangerous. I just briefly mentioned that I was listening to one of the scientists, and he was talking about the self-replicating robots that could really solve big problems. Like when you scale things up, and imagine you are manufacturing cars or any other thing, and human beings have limited capacity to manufacture cars. Like imagine that 10 human beings are needed to manufacture one car on the assembly line. You can only scale up to a limit, right? But if you have robots that can self-replicate, you can quickly scale things up. But the problem with this is that if robots become too intelligent and they learn to self-replicate, then there could be a big issue. They can start controlling things around. Another area where just to help you understand how AI could be dangerous is that imagine that the electricity grids are controlled by machine learning algorithms that actually make a decision where and when to do a load shedding, right? Now imagine if machine learning algorithms become hacked, and in that case, people sitting 6,000 miles away can control your grid stations, can control your entire country sitting 6,000 miles away. Or machine learning algorithms can become so messed up if something goes wrong that they can start doing disasters, right? So, from all these examples, what I want to tell you is that there's a possibility AI could be dangerous. So, that is why everyone is saying that AI needs to be regulated. AI needs to be regularized. So how to regulate AI? I think you need AI ministry in place. You need government bodies in place who can ensure that whatever we are doing in AI, all companies who are working on innovative technologies being evolved through the power of AI, they need to be regulated, and there should be a cap on what you could do and what you could not do from the power of AI. So that's a good question. This idea is implemented in a movie robot. Yeah, I've not seen that, but must be. Yeah. Typical jobs related to AI. So, Arfin, I think uh, data scientist is one. Uh, if you are a good machine learning engineer and you're not a business analyst, then machine learning engineers is one area. You can help people program things and find out the right algorithms, etc., etc. AI could really help in deriving insights and selling those insights to people for data monetization. So you can work as someone who knows how to generate insights from what AI is delivering as a value, and then you can come up with data monetization use cases. You can come up with business, new entrepreneurship ideas through the power of AI. So instead of doing a job, you can start your own company. Like Uber and Kareem, for instance, Uber knows when to send which car to a particular call, right? So it's an again machine learning driven algorithms. So you can come up with your own idea, which is Uber like idea, solve a different problem, not really in the taxi domain, but any other domain. So all these things are really robotics is one area. IoT, Internet of Things, is one area. You can come up with IoT devices which are AI driven, and you can sell those to manufacturing industries. You can sell those to different companies so that it can solve a particular problem and issue for your target customers. So entrepreneurship, jobs, machine learning, engineering, data monetization, IoT devices, all those things are really falling in the realm of the jobs that AI is creating in the world. That's a very good question. Yeah, so if you have heard about ethical AI, or if you've heard about if robots or AI can have emotions, right? Human-like emotions. I think that question goes back to the strong AI that we were discussing on someone's question. To be honest, I think teaching the machine the emotions and ethics and empathy is a tough job to do, because all the threats that I mentioned about and all the threats that people are talking about AI taking over the world, not really, I mean, not literally, but really trying to see if AI can possibly do that. All the and taking the control of grid stations like electricity, etc. When the machine learning becomes so intelligent, all those things mean that machine learning's do not have empathy for the humans, right? So how to give how to instill that empathy and ethics is a very good question, and globally people are trying to really understand. But honestly speaking, in my view, my knowledge is limited, but in my humble view, this is an area which has not really been worked upon much, I would say. Very few companies would have been working on this, but as I mentioned, my humble suggestion would be that we need to regulate AI. And if you talk about regulation, you need regulating bodies, and those regulating bodies would really focus on ethics, empathy, and compassion for robotics and AI. AI, yeah, Pakistan is getting on the track. I would say there are a lot of AI companies. Government is really focusing on AI. A lot of presidents started their own initiative around AI. So thanks to the president as well. But yeah, so AI is literally taking off. I would say we're still not there yet, but we are embarking upon some good initiatives. We have seen a lot of companies, new entrepreneurs working on AI. Scope is good. I think data scientists are hot these days. Data scientist is a very hot skill these days, which effectively speaks for the fact that people are hiring data scientists. And that is a fact in turn that speaks of the fact that there are companies in Pakistan who are working on the AI. Yeah, so you have some idea that can be achieved using it. Yeah, that's amazing. You have an opportunity to become an entrepreneur. Talk to people who are relevant. Discuss your idea. Don't discuss your idea with every single person. Ideas can be taken away. Ideas can be replicated before you even embark upon them. So be very intelligent in deciding who you discuss your idea with. People you trust with, definitely, and people who believe in the power of machine learning and AI. Yes, scope of women in AI. That's another question. Yes, definitely. I mean, AI is purely gender agnostic. If you have the skill, the three skills that I've talked about, AI is an area of expertise for you, inshallah. A lot of scope. Great. I think no more questions.
Yes,
Arsalan.
I think there are no more questions from the audience. Let me check once again. We have some other comments, no more questions. So,
Thank you very much.
thank you, Mr. Adnan, and it was a wonderful session. And I can see the comments that it was quite really, a session full of knowledge and it was interesting. Even I was listening very carefully, despite of managing the things around here. So, thanks for the session. Thank you, IEEE Wildlife Our Section team, for supporting this event. I would like to thank the audience for being an important part of this event and asking so many good questions. So keep attending our future events for knowledge, personal development, and grooming as well. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Salam. Thank you very much, Aslan. Thank you very much, IEEE team. Really appreciate your time, and thank you for inviting me once again. Allah Hafiz.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Thank you.